Good evening, everyone. My name is Alice Owen, and I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Irving. And on behalf of our board of directors and all the members of the League, I want to welcome you to the Irving City Council Candidate Forum. The League is hosting this along with the South Irving Task Force and the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I want to tell you a little bit about these organizations. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. Through education and advocacy, voters can influence public policy to make a positive impact on society. The League's mission is to help voters understand the process and power of voting. The League does not support a particular candidate or any particular party. The South Irving Task Force is a group of private individuals who live, work, or have interest in Irving south of 183, and who reviews conditions affecting the subject area and makes recommendations for improvements. The Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is an accredited chamber, a national award winner for its size, and has a special emphasis on small, minority-owned, and underutilized businesses. And we want to thank both of those organizations for co-hosting this forum with us. We also want to thank the City of Irving and ICTN for providing assistance and media coverage of the forum. This forum will be taped by ICTN and can be watched later online. We do ask that you remain as quiet as possible during the program so that we can make sure the videotape is heard by all. And we'd also ask that you hold all applause until the end so we can hear all the candidates' responses. Our moderator tonight is former City Councilwoman Sharon Barbosa Crane. She currently serves on the city's Green Advisory Board. She also moderated our Texas House Candidate Forum last fall. And we want to thank Sharon for being our moderator again tonight. And I'll turn it over to Sharon now, who will explain the rules of the forum.
Thank you very much, Alice, and thanks to each of you for being here this evening and to all of the folks who will be watching this on television. And please tell your friends and family who are not able to do either tonight that this will be available to you later in rebroadcasts, and it'll be important to you to be able to see and hear what the candidates for your official positions have to say. I'm going to first introduce our City Council candidates here tonight. In place one, and we're going to start at the end and just to my right, your left, and just go toward me. We have, in place one, we have Tony Grimes and John Bloch. In place two, now this is our at-large district for this year, we have David Pfaff, Sergio Perez, and Vicky Oduk. In place seven, we have Priscilla Vigliante and Adam Muller. Thank you all again. Welcome. And the instructions to the candidates are this. I think you have seen the setup in front of you. When you press the long button, it turns red, sort of counterintuitive. That's when you speak and will be heard. When you are finished speaking, press it again so you unmute yourself. So you do mute yourself, pardon me, so that we'll not be talking over each other. Thank you so much for doing that. We will be having our opening and closing statements. You know, unfortunately, because of time and our limitations, we have to limit our answers, and we know from the start that you cannot give a full critique of everything that you know or want us to know in 1 minute, but unfortunately, that's all we have for these. And so if you can do your best to answer questions, we may need some follow-ups. If we do, you all just be flexible, and we'll go back and forth and take care of that. Otherwise, I'm going to start with asking you questions, and then I will rotate who starts and who ends on each question. But we will start with place one for our opening statement, and we'll reverse that for the closing statement. Each response, you will have 1 minute. We do have tables in this side here of our auditorium with campaign materials and signs for each of our candidates. Please avail yourself of these before you leave. We also, I think Alice has already spoken to you about trying to show as much quietness and attention because we are being televised. And so it's important that we be able to hear, not just hear, but that folks who are listening to us otherwise can hear as well. And so I think that it's time for us to start, and we will begin by simply allowing you all to make an opening statement of what you want us to hear for 1 minute, and we'll start with Tony Grimes.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm a small business owner here in Irving. I've served in this community for over 20 years as a community leader with the Irving NAACP. I've been on the Police Advisory Board for about 15 years and served on the Irving Independent School Board. I was also a recipient in 2019 of the Irving High Spirited Citizens Award because of my dedication to this community in 2019. Thank you.
And now John Bloch. And before you start, John, if I may just mention that we do have a timekeeper. It's Debbie Fleck right in here. She is holding a sign up, and she will help you to make sure that you stay within the time period.
Good evening. My name is John Bloch. I am the incumbent in District 1 for Irving City Council. I've been honored to serve in this position for the last 3 years. My family and I moved here 11 years ago actually. Out of everywhere in the country, we chose to move here because we saw that this was the best place in the country to live, work, and raise a family. Now, I'm running on a platform of protecting the integrity of our neighborhoods, strong support for public safety. I am endorsed by the Fire Association, and during my time on council, I have been a part of bringing down the vacancies by 75% in the police department. I'm pushing for sustainable business development and holding developers to our standards and making sure we get the quality that we deserve in Irving for developments. And I'm committed to revitalizing the Heritage District. I've got a vision for what city-led redevelopment of the Heritage District could look like. It's over there on those poster boards next to my sign from the fire department, or the Fire Association. And I'd love it if you took a look. I'd really appreciate your support. Vote John Bloch.
Place 2, David Pfaff.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, to the South Irving Task Force, and to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for having us. I'm David Pfaff, a lifelong resident, went to Brandenburg, went to Travis, went to MacArthur, and for the last 30 years have grown and run a very successful company. Along the way, I've served as your Chamber of Commerce, the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for local charities around here, coached my children's soccer team, and was a mentor for scouts attaining their eagle. Now that my kids are grown and we're empty nesters, I'm ready to dedicate my full time to serve Irving. I have a very big agenda, and it's called quality of life. I want to make sure our roads are great for us with no potholes. I want to make sure our police and fire and EMS are always supported, and we always have response times less than 5 minutes to help us out. I want to make sure our taxes stay low and we do great budgeting so no one is ever loses their house because their taxes are too high. And most importantly, my business development background, I want to have smart development in this city where none of us ever need to leave this city for a job, for our retail, for restaurants, and more importantly, family-friendly entertainment that we lost, that I had when I grew up here as a kid. I've always worked hard my whole life, and I'll work hard for you. I have the time to do it and the will to do it, and I would like your support come Election Day. Thank you.
Place 2, Sergio Perez.
I'd like to thank our hosts that make this opportunity possible. My name is Sergio Perez, and I moved here 11 years ago because Irving is a wonderful place, if not the best place, to raise a family. I'm a very busy person. I have a 7th child on the way, but I make this campaign a priority because I see Irving now at a crossroads, and it is time for our city council to represent the will of the people and not the will of outside interests that see Irving as a pet project for them rather than a place that we call home. And I would like to earn your vote tonight for District 2 citywide. Thank you.
Place 2, Vicky Oduk.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. My name is Vicky Akinyi Oduk, Council Candidate District 2 at large. I'm a working mother of 3 and a small family business owner, offering moving and cleaning services. I serve in my community as a member of District Development Committee, Irving Independent School District, Planning Committee, Illuminate Irving, Brand Ambassador, Mosaic Family Services, and I'm also a member of West Irving Public Library. I'm a graduate of Public Affairs and Communications from the University of Nairobi College of Extramural Studies. You know why I fell in love with the city of Irving? It's because of its diversity and inclusion, as well as its beauty. From the parks to the libraries, convention center, the mosques, the temples, downtown heritage district, you name it. The city of Irving is a city where small businesses are supposed to thrive while we also attract big investors. I believe the city of Irving deserves a leader who sets priority, caters to all. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Priscilla Vigliante, and I'm running for City Council, District 7. It's a true honor to be here this evening. My husband and I are raising our son, Mateo, in South Irving, just south of 183. We've been there now close to 10 years. This is Mateo's home. And after he was born, I realized that this is where he will be growing up. And if we were going to be here, I was going to do my part to make it better. And that's exactly what I have done. I am the only candidate in this district race that has experience working hands in hand directly with our residents to make where we live a better place and where we're raising our families. And apart from that, I have 2 years of being a planning and zoning commissioner, where we have also championed for responsible growth and development. And so this election, I would love your support, because a vote for Priscilla is going to be a vote for our neighborhoods first, but also for committed leadership for the citizens of Irving. Thank you.
Adam Muller.
Hello. My name is Adam Muller. I'm running for District 7. And I grew up in Irving. I live in Irving, and I raised a family in Irving. I met my wife at the University of Dallas. I'm running because I love this city, and I want to give my best to ensure Irving's future remains thriving. My public service started with teaching. I was an English teacher for 11 years, during which I was also a baseball and basketball coach of the YMCA. After that, I served on the Irving Public Library Board, where I was unanimously elected to be board chair. Finally, for the past 7 years, I volunteered as the board president of Valor Public Schools, where I have developed the skills in strategic budgeting, finance, large contract negotiation, and commercial real estate development. All my priorities will be about making Irving the best place in North Texas to put down roots and raise a family. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. And now we're going to begin with the questions. The questions that you'll receive are those that have been submitted by the 3 organizations that are sponsoring this forum, and also by folks who are here in this audience this evening. And we're going to start just like we did. We're going to start at the end with Tony Grimes and go through. Everyone on this question will be for all. And then when we return, we'll start then with John Bloch. We're going to keep it real simple, because otherwise one of us will get confused. And I don't want it to be you. So we're going to start with this question. If elected, what will be your top priority to work on other than public safety? Tony Grimes.
Yes, we have a big homeless issue in Irving, and it's not just in Irving, it's across the country. So that's one of the main issues that I want to work on. I've already began talking to businesses in our Heritage District, because we seem to have a huge homeless population in this area. And so I've been talking to business owners to see if we could come up with a resolve to the issue, if they had, so that they could offer me some advice on what they would recommend. I've also been planning on some things myself. I've made some contributions to organizations like Family Compass and Samaritan Inn. And what those organizations do versus having a shelter, they have a location where they train they house the homeless for X amount of days, put them in a program, they train them and prepare them for work and then housing and budgeting after life. So that's what I want to work on, defeating the homelessness.
So I want to mention three things. The first one is going to be DART. I think we need to renegotiate the DART agreement. If that means putting it on the ballot, that's going to be next year. That's going to be a top priority if that's what we have to do. I don't want to do that, but if we can't get some of that money working better for our residents, that might be the nuclear option. The second one is short-term rentals. We've been pushing to have stronger regulations around short-term rentals. They have a serious negative effect on the quality of life in our neighborhoods. I've been very proud to push on that. I want to push farther and harder. The last one is accountability and transparency. If elected, I'm going to push as hard as I possibly can to get the city to join the Texas Governmental Accountability Association. It is an intergovernment local agreement that holds the city to higher standards for accountability and transparency with the people who pay taxes and expect both of those things from the city.
So running a business for 25 years, I've had a lot of balls in the air. So when I get the question of one priority, I've always had 4 to 5 goals at my company that I ran all the time. One big thing is that we've got to be looking at is the state of Texas is going to take away a lot of our planning and zoning decisions in the future. We've got to make sure our code enforcement's up to standards, our noise enforcement, and these things are going to affect our quality of life if we're not ready for what the state's about to pass down in Austin. Also, our taxes, our property values are increasing dramatically. What are we going to do about our tax rates? And also, how are we going to get into the Dallas county system to make sure our home price values don't exceed what our people can pay for? And a big thing for me is bringing in business and coming in, and what are we going to do with the Heritage District? I live and see what happens in Las Colinas. We don't have to worry about Las Colinas. There's businesses coming there, and they will continue to come. We need to bring business to the southern portion of our city and make sure they feel welcome and walk them through City Hall and get things moving. And that's what I enjoy doing, and that's what I will do.
Well, there's only a couple of people I can think of that wish more than me that the casino was something that we no longer had to talk about. But if you're going to believe that, you have to first ask yourself why the Sands Corporation is putting millions into Austin, why the Sands Corporation and the Chamber of Commerce are still actively in conversations with the city. And don't forget that they own the land and have said that building anything there doesn't make any sense unless a casino is part of it. So my number one priority would be to not allow the kind of development that is going to put Irving at risk. Secondly, I want to see the home ownership here increase. A couple years ago, we were at 37%. Today, I'm happy to say that we are at 38%. So we are now beating College Station. They used to be at 38, now they're at 37. And the reason for that is precisely because the city has elected candidates supported by Families for Irving who see home ownership as a priority to build a thriving community that is safe and good for business. My third issue would be making sure that our code enforcement is doing what it needs to be doing, especially in District 4, because I think we have a broken window problem. And we all talk about the importance of staffing our services up to the level that they need, but I think we need to also look at some of these underlying causes, not just the symptoms, if we're going to get the results that people are expecting and that they want. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My campaign is a people's-driven campaign. And myself, I thrive in the fact that I was endorsed by the everyday citizen of Irving. And some of them were just students, some are teachers, some are just small business owners, and people who look just like me. And while they were endorsing my campaign, I was talking to them, I was asking them questions, and they were asking me questions too. And my top priority from wherever I gathered while interacting with the citizen of Irving was affordable housing and home ownership. And how am I gonna work on this? I wanna work on this by working with the City of Irving HUD Down Payment Assistance Program to make sure our citizens are not scared of being homeless at some point of their life, because I realize that is the biggest fear a lot of our residents have. They are not sure if tomorrow they're gonna have a place they're calling home. So the city should work hand in hand with the Irving residents through the HUD Home Ownership Assistance Program and offer our residents their dream homes. Another thing is community outreach. Like last weekend, we had a very big resource day at Singley Academy, where everybody was there. I saw the Irving Police was there, Irving Fire Department was there, and everybody. But I didn't see a lot of our leaders. I was looking left, right, and center to see anybody I know. I didn't see anybody. I was there by myself. So community outreach is very important. Our people need to connect with us one-on-one. Thank you.
So as a neighborhood champion, my top priority, which is on my website at priscillaforirving.com, is neighborhoods first. Making sure that our neighborhood infrastructure is funded and invested in, making sure that our streets and our crumbling sidewalks are paved, so that way there's no risk as we're walking or jogging down the street. Another thing is making sure code enforcement is also staffed and equipped, and that we can improve the goal of visiting our streets once a year to perhaps multiple times a year. You know, in South Irving, we need to make sure that we have a shared responsibility with our city government to ensure that our neighborhoods are flourishing and thriving.
My top priorities are very simple. They all emanate from families first, right? So I want to make sure Irving remains the best place in North Texas to raise a family, and that begins with economic prosperity. So we need a strong and balanced business development plan in Irving to attract more families and to make their homes sustainable. We need to and part of that is renegotiating the DART contract. So this is a $110 million a year DART contract, and figure out how to reinvest those savings in an alternative public transportation model. Even a fraction of this money could be reinvested into property tax reductions. But we also need to defend lower median income districts like District 7 and those in South Irving from the larger, more subtle threats like the Las Vegas Sands casino development. So the negative social effects of the world's largest casino would be disproportionately borne by the residents in my district and not by those in gated communities up north. It's a very complicated issue. And then finally, zoning. Almost 2/3 of our residents are renters. So we've got to figure out a common sense way to provide more affordable home ownership and incentivize developers to build more single-family residences. This is the quickest way to build wealth for our citizens and give our citizens a vested interest and keep them from moving out of Irving. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to our next question, and we're going to start with John Bloch. Again, 1 minute, please. In fact, the next 3 questions are going to develop a little further, we hope, some of the things that you all have expressed in your priorities. And this question says, what responsibility does the city have to small businesses? Start with you, John.
Well, the city has a lot of responsibilities to small businesses, just like large businesses. I mean, they have to make sure that there's a fair and equitable rule of law within the city. We have to make sure that we have fair and equitable regulations around, inspections and enforcement of our code. I think one of the things that the city could really do more of is look at how we can support small businesses coming into the south of the city. I think that's something we'd want to work very closely with the Chamber of Commerce on. And they do that already. And we've seen great success down here in the south. We brought in the Albertsons. The City Council's been working on getting in some new businesses downtown. The new coffee shop is opening up this summer, Alma. Very much looking forward to that one. So I think there's a lot that the city can do for small businesses, but really it starts with fairness and equity with application of the law.
So coming up in May, and we've done this at the Chamber for over 10 years, we do the Small Business Blitz. And it's going to over 1,000 small businesses in the city of Irving and saying thank you. Thank you for being here. Here's a resource card. Any help you need, each department in the city and from the chamber. We don't celebrate our businesses enough, in my opinion, in the city, especially the small businesses. We need to be thanking people for being here for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, and make sure they feel welcome. I know a lot of times I have friends or neighbors who call and say, hey, David, I need some help at City Hall. I call up my representative and it gets done. Businesses need help that sometimes they don't know where to find it. And these are the things where we need to continually to celebrate these businesses, promote them, but also how do you get help for the different things, for your taxes, all these resources we have at the city that are free. We don't need to do incentives. We need to give them the free services we're already giving them, but they need to know we're there to help them at all times.
Well, the most important thing a city can do for local businesses is provide a healthy and safe community where people want to live, because those are the people that have the money who are going to spend at those businesses. And I think what the city should be doing in that relationship of bringing businesses here is represent the interests of the people, because we already have an excellent Chamber of Commerce that does a great job in representing the interests of these businesses. But for so long, the city has numerous cases where you see City Council and City Hall that will gladly go along with blithely some of the proposals that come forward, and they just end up being too trusting. And in the end, it's the citizens who end up paying, and in some cases, they end up leaving. So if we are going to have the healthiest and best environment for these businesses to come and to thrive, we need to have the proper partnership between the Chamber of Commerce and the representation of those citizens, and make sure that we are getting the best deal that we can for the people who live here.
Okay. I think what the city is supposed to do to make sure our small businesses are thriving, still I'm going to go back to the community outreach. And also, I want to thank the City of Irving for launching their new website, because I think our small businesses need a system which is user-friendly. User-friendly in such a way that when they get inside the website, they can go and see the kind of resources the city is offering them. So I think the website should be made more user-friendly, because I've been talking to a lot of these small businesses and letting them know that the city launched a new website, which I think everybody now should be going in there and checking out whatever is going there in our city, and you don't have to walk in here and come and inquire about a lot of things. You can just go straight to the website, check out, make applications for your grants and things like that. So yeah, let's keep improving on our new city website. Thank you.
I think the city of Irving could be doing a lot more to support our small businesses. I really do. I think that our small businesses tend to be not celebrated as much as other businesses here in the city, but our small businesses are the backbone of our economic development. You know, every corner that you go to, there is a small business owner that is working hard, that is employing employees and providing much needed services to the residents and the citizens of this city. So I think we can come up with some more programming, more engagement for our small businesses. And that's something that I think collectively as a council we should champion. And more economic incentives for our local entrepreneurs to start their business in Irving and expand their business as well, right, based on the population's needs.
Yes, I agree. Small businesses are the cornerstone of our economy, and the city needs to do all that it can to be transparent and make its resources available and communicate those to the small business owners. So that's certainly something we can do better as a city. But another component of this is actually the workforce as well. So I think in one way, to help small businesses to thrive, we could also reinvest in what the workforce needs as well. So the Texas economy is thriving. We're in a great location, and we know that workforce shortages are everywhere. So to retain good employees, small businesses need to be in a place with good schools and affordable housing. And we need to partner with our school systems, as well as offer as many quality school choices as possible, which is the #1 concern of families who are choosing a place to live. And that, in turn, will sustain small businesses. Thank you.
As a small business owner here, I do think that the city needs to support small businesses in a major way and celebrate them, as I've heard some other members on this panel state, with resources. It'd be nice to kind of, when we celebrate the big organizations or big companies, that we get shouted out and celebrated sometimes, and maybe for example, your water bill that you get from the city, that you mention the small businesses that we have, and give us a link so that we can encourage our community to do business with our small business owners, kind of like we do the larger business, and maybe support them economically and resourcefully when they need it. Thank you.
Thank each of you for that, for those answers to that question. We're going to go to another item that you all brought up in your comments, and that is homelessness. It is reported to us that the nation, as well as Irving, is experiencing a homelessness crisis. And you all, some of you have alluded to it right here in Irving. And so what are your recommendations to mitigate this problem? We're going to start with David Pfaff in place 2.
Well, this is a topic very near to me, as I ran the La Buena Vida Foundation for 4 years, which helped out homeless youth. And anytime anybody asks me about homeless, I first start out, which one do you mean? Do you mean people who are mental health problems? Do you mean people who have substance abuse problems? Do you mean people who are out of work temporarily? The homeless problem is a very delicate problem, and it's a nationwide problem. We've got to have compassion, #1. We've got to make sure things are safe in our city, #2, for our homeowners and businesses. And tackling this issue takes a village, #1. We need to make sure that we're, for the nonprofits who are helping out there, for the different people, crisis ministries and the different churches, that we support them, but make it sure citywide everything is safe for both the homeless situation and the businesses and the residences. This is a lot longer conversation than 1 minute. I could go on for a long time about the needs. We need to make sure we benchmark the best programs that are out there in the nation right now, because the homeless issue is not going away and will never go away, but we can do things to make sure that everybody in our city, homeless, businesses, residents, are safe and make things effective here.
The key thing with homelessness is to distinguish between those that are homeless and are looking to remedy that situation, and then there's a certain aspect of that group which are looking to live without some of the responsibilities that homeownership comes with. They literally don't want houses. So you have to acknowledge that there's these two groups, and In both cases, we have to treat them with compassion, but they need different things. And I think Irving, before we talk about solutions, has to first acknowledge that we're not only dealing with the homeless people that live here, but we're also getting a lot of homeless visitors who take advantage of some of the magnet-like programs that we have in this city. One of the best shining examples of how to address this problem effectively, the way that most effectively helps the people that need this help, is the Haven for Hope in San Antonio, that has a pipeline for these people to, first of all, be housed, so they are not on the street, but also to learn skills and to get jobs so that they can move on with their lives. They are not going to depend upon the city forever. Teach a man to fish versus giving a man a fish, right? Their stats include that 80% of the people that graduate, so to speak, from their program do not return for further assistance. So the goal is to remember that these are people and to help them achieve the dignity that they all have simply for being humans.
Okay, as I said earlier, my campaign is a people-driven campaign. This homelessness situation in the city of Irving, like my opponent, Mr. Sergio, said, is two-sided. There's the people who get into it because maybe they don't do things which are right, but there are people who are forced in that kind of a situation. I will give a very close situation whereby it's going to be like a job loss due to illnesses or disability or something like that. I've seen jobs right here in Irving where they do not allow people with disability to come back to work. They say that we cannot accommodate you. So if a job cannot accommodate you and you are just, you work per hour, you get your pay when you just go to work. That is when the jobs are gonna pay you. And this is a situation whereby the doctor has put you on restrictions. You cannot perform your duty. This is a very big corporation, very big business where there are several departments. Why can't you take this individual to another department where they can be accommodated until they get better so they can keep working, get paid, pay their rent, and take care of their daily activities and living, and everything is sorted. So not everybody is going to be homeless because maybe they chose it, but some of these things come because maybe the people we work for, they don't want to accommodate us. That's why one of my biggest priority is I'm advocating for individuals in the city of Irving living with disabilities, because I've seen it firsthand in this city. Thank you.
Homelessness is an issue that is not only affecting Irving, but it is affecting cities and our states and at the national level as well. It is an issue that is very complex, has various layers, which means that cities need to also be willing to work together to help these unhomed residents, right? We need to pool our resources together, whether it be at the nonprofit level, the county level, right? Making sure that our nonprofits have the resources and are equipped to help the different complexities of this issue. And so it is something that we're gonna have to proactively work together, Irving with other nonprofits, Irving with other cities. This is not just an Irving issue. This is something that is happening across our country, really. And so we are going to have to be proactive, and we're going to have to be innovative to help address the complexities of this issue. Thank you.
It is admittedly an extremely complicated issue. And there are no simple solutions to homelessness. And underneath all that, though, we still need to respect the human dignity of all homeless, all people suffering from homelessness. But statistically, From what I understand, a majority of homeless are suffering from addiction and substance abuse issues, and they need treatment and mental health services, which represents a massive cost for our city of 260,000 people. So my recommendation on this would be that we need to explore working with the city of Dallas. They've actually had great strides and great gains recently in working with their homeless population. They have 1.3 million people in a $5 billion a year annual budget. And they've already invested a lot into the mental health and public safety resources that have seen great gains, or maybe not great gains, but significant gains in helping the homeless. So my recommendation would be that it's best for Irving to cooperate with Dallas, especially since they're right next door, to see that every person suffering from homelessness gets the help that they need.
So I agree that there is no simple solution for homelessness, but I think that if we partner with the nonprofit organizations and churches that are already working to help those homeless organizations, it would be a lot great. It would get us a lot closer to modifying the homeless issue that we have and not having it. What I do know also, with that being said, is that I was in a meeting last week, and Irving has received federal and county funds for, one, affordable housing and to address our homelessness issue. And we've not utilized those funds. They're just sitting back in a kitty, and I don't know why. We might ask someone on this panel to answer that question, why that money's just sitting. But like I said, we can't help everybody. But anybody that we can help is better than not helping anybody. So thank you.
All right, well, I'm glad you brought up the nonprofits, because actually I have been a part of already appropriating almost $500,000 to getting money to our nonprofits to help with this, specifically for homeless prevention. So before someone is actually homeless or they're immediately at risk for homelessness, if there's someone who can be helped, that's the cheapest and fastest way to do it. So we have committed already $500,000 this year to homeless prevention with our local nonprofits. Some of that is HUD money, and some of that is just general fund city dollars. So we can get it to our smaller nonprofits who want to help more but don't have the funding and also can't apply for the funding because they don't qualify. We're committed to making sure that our local nonprofits are part of the solution. I also tend to support the San Antonio model that Sergio mentioned. I think looking for solutions that get people off the streets and into productive housing and work opportunities, that's the most, that's the solution that's going to stick the most. At the same time, enabling a problem is not compassion. And when it comes to public land, I think we just need to have the commitment to say, that's not permitted here. And if you're not willing to get better, if you're not willing to accept help, you gotta go.
Okay, we're going to have one of those little follow-ups that I mentioned to you. We're going to start with Sergio on this, and then we'll ask John if he would comment, and then the rest of you are able to do so as well. But we want to do this because you brought up something specific, and we'd like to know a little more about that in this regard. You brought up a San Antonio model of how the city is dealing with their homeless issue, and you described it, fairly well in a minute for the time limit that you had. But what I'd like to know specifically is who's going to pay for this, and where are you going to put it? Start with Sergio.
Generally, the nonprofits, as John mentioned, are the best agents for providing the expertise and the resources to address this problem. I think partnerships with Salvation Army and other organizations like that are essential, especially our local ones, who are going to know these people the best. As far as the spending goes, I think generally it's a burden that the city has to balance against other competing interests, and generally it's not the purpose of the city government to provide those services, but it can assist in the case where it's funding these local organizations that are going to do the work. And in particular, if we can combo up with the federal government to get some of those dollars distributed as well, then I think that's the right way of doing that. Thanks.
Thank you, John. What are your ideas?
I'm going to differ from Sergio on this one. I do not favor using the federal dollars for homeless prevention. We have earmarked those dollars for a domestic violence shelter. When you take the money from the feds specifically for this, you lose all control over how it's spent, and you cannot focus it into problem areas that you see in your own backyard. They kind of tie your hands with how you can spend it. So I would much rather go with looking for state funding opportunities, partnering with our nonprofits, and I think one thing we need to look at that hasn't been looked at enough is asking some of our corporate residents to step up and be a part of the solution as well. But you had another question about where's it going to go. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We got a lot of land over by the old stadium site. That's a joke. I don't have a solution for that, but that's several steps down the road before we even get to that question. We got a lot of answers we got to come up with. Funding is the biggest one.
Thank you. Other candidates, do any of you have any ideas that you want to put out in regard to the San Antonio model?
Well, some local models that I've seen that worked, I mentioned in my opening statement, the Samaritan Inn that's out in Collin County. They're doing a good job as housing families in a unit, training them, helping them get a GED if they need, training them a skill set, and getting them, helping them find employment, as well as learn how to budget their resources. So I think that's a good model, and Family Conference does a good job at that as well here. So thank you.
Anyone else want to comment before we go to the next question? If not, we're going to go to our next question, which is, once again, has to do with some things that you all had as priorities, and we're going to start with Sergio because it is his turn. And we're asking you this question, Sergio. Affordable housing, which we're told is both an opportunity for moderate and lower income persons to have shelter, as well as a tool in combating homelessness, is an issue in Irving because it's so limited. So should the city be involved in bringing more such housing to Irving, and should city resources be used in doing that?
I think we have enough affordable housing. I think what we need is to provide a upgrade path for families that are growing. There's a problem that my wife and I experienced a few times. As our family grew and we needed to find a place that had more bedrooms, it got harder and harder to find something that we could still afford. So I think when we're talking about home building, you have to acknowledge that you're making a trade-off between affordability and desirability. We have enough affordable housing as it is. I'd like to see us bring in home builders to build homes that will fill out the whole spectrum of the housing market so that people of all kinds are able to move into the homes that they need and to invest into the city. And these are the people who are going to start businesses. These are the people who are going to give back to their community and get involved in local programs. And these are the people who are going to care enough to show up to not only run in campaigns, but also to vote in our elections and bring the city into the future.
Okay. Vicky, it's to you.
Okay, this one I'll go back again to the affordable housing and home ownership. I think the city of Irving should work with the residents by offering the HUD down payment assistance program to make our residents become homeowners, because I know that is everybody or every American dream. Like the topmost American dream is home ownership. And sometimes you want to own these homes, but you cannot afford the deposit. And if the city is able to offer the down payment assistance program, I think a lot of our residents will have the opportunity of stepping up and finding their new homes. And also, I will talk about the rent issues. I think the rents have really gone high in the city of Irving because I see a lot of our residents moving to neighboring cities. Like I say, I'm a people's person. I'm everywhere. I talk, I question, and I do a lot of interviews with the residents whenever we meet in these community events. And they tend to say that the neighboring cities, they offer like affordable apartments, affordable homes. So a lot of people are moving out of our city because they say the rents really hiked after the COVID pandemic. I even lost like 3 of my very good friends who are gonna be my voters. They had to move out of the city of Irving because they got something affordable in the neighboring cities. So, yeah, our rents have really skyrocketed. Thank you.
Priscilla?
Affordability really is an issue, just as Vicky was saying. When I launched my campaign, I had an Irving ISD teacher reach out to me asking me about affordable housing because she had to leave Irving because she could not afford a house in Irving. She works in Irving, but she cannot afford to live in Irving. That is a very real issue that we have here. I think there are other cities that are being more proactive in establishing single-family neighborhoods and providing affordability. I think we need to look into that as a city. I also believe we need to look into more senior housing as well. Many of my neighbors who are seniors have expressed that they need smaller houses, and they would like to stay in Irving if that was an option. So I think there is a real issue that we need to be, again, creative and innovative and start looking to see what other cities are providing for their residents at different income levels.
It is a very common story that we hear all the time. The houses in Irving are 60 years old and they cost $400,000, right? You can't afford to live here anymore, so you have to move to one of the, not even suburbs, I guess you would call it an exurb, right? So I think we need to incentivize developers, as a city, we need to incentivize developers to construct more single-family homes. And this needs to be reasonably planned. We need to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place, the traffic patterns mapped out, and the city services in place to support these families. And on February 14th, the Dallas Morning News published an article saying that there have been so many apartment complexes built across North Texas, not just in Irving. And they actually analyzed that the rents were going down. There's so many units that there's an oversupply of them, and they're having trouble keeping them filled to their capacity. So anyhow, so many of these apartment complexes are offering discounts to renters. And by the way, these are the same apartment developers whose PAC, the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas, has endorsed my opponent. At the same time, we see that the single-family residence prices for young families are prohibitively high. So we need to figure out a way as a city to incentivize single-family residential development and to reverse this trend so we can strike the right balance in our city. We have apartment complexes, we're overbalanced, we have 2/3 of our residents are renters, and we need to incentivize the swing in the other direction. Thank you.
I would say absolutely. We need affordable housing. It would be really nice to have down payment assistance. The federal and county governments both offer resources that the city can obtain for affordable housing. So I think that we should do that. We talk about being the most diverse city in the country, and we are, and we need to do that with affordable housing to allow more people, especially I'd like to see our professionals, our teachers, our police officers, and our firemen be able to live in this city. I think that would be really good for the city. And then the big champion for us, what if we pulled a homeless person off the street, got them through their training, got them in a job in a few years? Wouldn't it be a great celebration that they become homeowners? Several of them actually become homeowners in the city. So thank you. Yes.
All right. We have a down payment assistance program for residents. Check it out. It's on the city website. On council, I've been proud to be a part of a lot of affordable housing initiatives. We've sold for $1 lots to Habitat for Humanity and Bear Creek Development Corporation. They build single-family homes and sell them to people of modest means. And they have, contracts where you got to own it for so long. Otherwise, it goes back to the corporation. They get it to someone else. I just voted for a letter of support for a low-income tax credit housing project, redeveloping an aging apartment complex here in Irving. So if we're going to be doing low-income housing, my preference is we got to look at infill housing throughout the city, empty lots that could be sustainably subdivided, look at ways that we can get our nonprofits involved in making that attainable housing available throughout our city. And we ought to be looking at how we can redevelop these aging, crumbling apartments that we have all over the city, especially in South Irving.
I'm going to agree with John on quite a few things. One of my friend's daughters took advantage of the down payment assistance program as a proud resident of Irving for 8 years now. Looking at the apartment complexes that are aging and need to be rehabilitated into something else is a great opportunity to work with the apartment owners, incentivize them to give us a little bit better affordable housing in these cases. But we need to look at all these programs that we can do to help people here, but also have them stay in the homes. We want to, if we do assistance, let's make sure they stay in 5-10 years and make sure it's a program that works. But I'm a big fan of the down payment program that our friend took advantage of through the city, and it's a great program. For the apartment complexes that are aging, we need to make sure we work with them to provide the housing that we want in the future for the city, and there's a lot of opportunities that we're going to have the next 5 to 10 years as these apartment complexes age.
Thank you. And before we go to our next question, we're going to have a little follow-up on this one. 5 years or so ago, we were told in the city of Irving in a report that was obtained by the Irving City Council that in 5 years, we would be 10,000 units short of housing for senior citizens. In addition to that, when you talk about low, especially very low income persons, and we have people in that economic strata all over the city of Irving because of the nature of the businesses, including hotels and other types of businesses that we have in the city of Irving, who want to live in Irving where they work. They are not going to be buying a house. So I think we'll follow up and ask a little bit about how are you going to handle the apartment situation in Irving. And we can just start with David Pfaff, since he was just now talking. We'll just go around to whoever wants to talk, and then we'll go to the next question, and Vicky will start.
Is your question, if you can kind of clarify what situation you're talking about?
How are we going to handle the apartment situation when you know that when you're dealing with affordable housing, when you're dealing with low and especially very low income persons, which we have a number of in Irving, and when you have a shortage of housing for seniors who seem to predominantly prefer going to some type of multifamily living, how are you going to handle the multifamily situation in Irving?
And so this is another thing John touched on earlier is through our nonprofits such as Irving Cares, we do apartment assistant programs. And we got to make sure that we're taking care of our residents with those type of programs through our nonprofits. They need help because It is a strain on the budgets right now for a lot of people. How do we keep apartment prices lower? It's a little bit more complex answer because it is a free market out there and they're charging more. And I'm seeing the prices that people are charging for apartments and it's quite shocking. So people are having to move out. That's another one that is a big problem that we need to tackle together and make sure we're making good decisions.
Anyone else want to take on that?
Just a comment on the pricing of housing in general, which is, it's good that we have some of these programs to assist people in the first place, but we have to be careful because when you're ultimately providing people some of this money, what you're doing is you're just raising the baseline of the prices of these houses and therefore also the competing rates for rentals because the owners know that there's money there. So it's a dangerous game that you have to be conscious of. And ultimately, if we want to make things more affordable for the people that want to live here, if you have this upgrade path of housing that I was mentioning earlier, as people move into bigger houses, then you have the smaller houses that are available for the people who are ready for those, who have managed to accumulate the capital, maybe they were renting for a while, whatever the case may be. So really, ultimately, the people that are renting, you want to give them a pathway out. You want to give them the chance to buy in. So I agree 100% with making sure that our apartment complexes are up to code because apartment complexes tend to be the majority of our service calls. You can ask our fire or police personnel. And that ultimately ends up being a strain on our resources that far outpaces the benefit of the higher property taxes that we get from such complexes. So ultimately, in the end, the city has to figure out how do we make Irving a place where anybody that wants to can buy a home and they don't have to leave.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment? John Bloch.
Yeah, so what to do about the apartment situation? I'm going to take that as what can the city do. So I mentioned, using low-income housing tax credits to redevelop some existing more run-down apartments. I think that's a good solution to use sparingly throughout the city. One of the problems we've run into in South Irving is we don't have the comps down here for new market rate apartments. Developers look at the aging apartments we have down here and they won't finance new apartments unless they're subsidized with tax credits because nothing down here was built in the last 30 years, at least market rate. So one thing that I think we should really look into as a city is setting up individualized tax incremented funding for apartment complexes that want to redevelop. We capped their taxable value at what it is right now for a number of years, and then they redevelop it, they rebuild it. Any increase in value, they don't pay taxes on for a number of years, and then we ratchet that down as they get to the end of it so that we don't have a massive amount of new property hitting our rolls all at once because that can really mess up our tax rate calculations. But that's a great way. Farmers Branch has had a lot of success doing that and getting a lot of their older apartment complexes redeveloped that way. I would love to look into doing more of that. We do have some TIF districts in the city, but even outside of the TIF districts, we can always enter into TIF agreements with individual property owners.
Let's go a little further with any of you, John, or anyone else. We're talking about how you fix up the things that are here, how you make them updated and renovated. What do you do about the fact we don't have enough? Because if you fix up, a place where I live, I still live there, but you don't, and you need a place too. So how do we fix that? You can do it, yes, if you have a comment or anyone else who has one.
51% of Irving's housing units are already apartments. I don't think we need more.
Anyone else want to comment?
Well, I think I agree with somebody stated earlier with the the senior housing. We're going to have to do something with that, with our aging community, because some of us will need to downsize. So we need to have incentives and partnerships with developers, but stay within our budget so that it doesn't affect our taxes. But we just need to build partnerships in economic development as well as senior housing.
Thank you.
do have a comment.
We're going to start with, I beg your pardon.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
I think it's kind of interesting that some of us are saying like the apartment situation. Our neighborhoods have single family and apartments in them, and we have residents living in them. There is no shame in living in an apartment or in a single family home. I just want to say that. Like I said, we tend to be more multifamily heavy, absolutely, and I'm fully supportive of renovating our aging apartments. I think especially in South Irving, that is very much needed. But, the apartment situation, that's a very disrespectful comment to many of our residents that live in apartments. That is their home, and it is not something that we should be talking like that about. Just want to put that out there.
Now, Vicky is going to start with this, but we're going to take a break from all of this seriousness, and we're going to come back to it before we close, however. And I want to ask you a question that was submitted to us by someone who's in attendance here this evening. And it says, Irving is a very diverse community. Music is also diverse. What artist or song would you have as your walk-up song if you went out to play baseball or softball? So we'll just start with Vicky.
That's a very beautiful question, and thank you so much. Like we all know, Irving is a multicultural city where there's diversity, inclusion, and all that. Myself, I come all the way from Africa. I was born in Kenya very many years ago. And now I'm here in America. I'm an American citizen. My kids are American citizens. They go to school here and all that. And where I come from, we have a very rich culture. We have this type of music, it's called Afrobeat. And whenever I tune in to these radio stations here in America, I hear music from my country. I hear music from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Ghana. Our genre is called Afrobeat. Our musicians, they come here, even here at the Music Factory. I've seen Burna Boy, I've seen Davido. They've come here, they've played with our American musicians. So I would really encourage Afrobeat, because Afrobeat comes with different types of beats, sounds, and the dance style is something else. So yes, I would really love to hear Afrobeat being played at a baseball game or even football game, which I have heard one day. My daughter used to go to MacArthur High School, and during a break at a game, I had some Afrobeat music playing, and all the kids were vibing to it, and that brought home closer to me. So, thank you.
I grew up playing baseball, and I almost got to a great point of a great spot in the baseball league, wasn't able to get there. Spent 2 weeks in the minor league before they gave me a check saying bye-bye. But I always walked up to the plate with the song Walking and Talking with My Mind Stayed on Jesus, because I saw so many people get hit, seriously, and hurt. So I always prayed before I went up to bat. So Walking and Talking with My Mind Stayed on Jesus was my song.
Thank you, Tony Grams. I think we're going to go back to Priscilla and keep up. This is a real question. This is really one of your questions.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is a funny question. My husband's in the back, and he's going to appreciate this very much. So I think our unofficial campaign song, and if I was on a baseball team, would be from LL Cool J. Mama said to knock you out.
I love this question. And in fact, I have two answers. One is the serious answer, and one is probably the embarrassing answer. But the serious answer, I grew up going to the Texas Rangers games. So the theme song from The Natural is the one that is always playing in my head every time I play baseball with my kids. You know, it's one of the most. If y'all haven't seen The Natural, I'm probably betraying my age here, but it's an amazing classic film. And then the other embarrassing one is probably In the Club by 50 Cent. Yeah, it's so catchy. I love it, yeah.
Okay.
I can't
Tony
make up
Graham's
my
had his
mind.
turn. It's yours, John.
All right, back around. I can't make up my mind. It's either Madness by Muse or, God help me, Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley.
You got to promise to sing that for us after this. So since this is my first election and a lot of people warned me, my walk-up song would be by Ozzy, Crazy Train.
I have two answers, both serious. The first one would be the Sabu song, if any of you are familiar with that. Sabu. My second answer is actually to thank you for this great question, talking about the richness of the community that we have here in Irving. We have many different faiths, many different traditions, and what we have seen in the past month is that diversity come together on a set of common principles that form the foundation, which is that we all want our families to grow up safely and to build their futures, and none of us want this casino. And I want the people to know that if we stay together, we can win this battle at every step. It's going to be a long one, and keep that casino from coming to Irving. Thank you.
Okay, if anyone is interested, mine would be Put Me In Coach by John Fogerty and CCR, and some of you don't even know who those people are. Our next question is going to get real serious here, and we're going to ask you all something about our money. And want you to explain, we're going to be starting with Priscilla, I believe, and we want you to explain the difference between no new revenue and no new taxes, and give us your position on what you know about our current city budget.
We have a large city budget. It's at $924.5 million. A lot of people don't realize how big our budget is. And so when we think about managing a budget, we got to make sure that we're really responsible with the hard-earned taxpayer dollars. And so absolutely, I think most cities typically support a no new revenue tax, making sure that we take the taxes from last year, we budget for the upcoming year, right? And so hopefully there is no shortfall. We don't want to be in a shortfall. But absolutely, we definitely want to protect our taxpayers' hard-earned money. And so I'm fully for audits to make sure that we make sure that the hard-earned money of our taxpayers is being well spent and is not wasted before we even ask them to pay for more.
So the no new taxes and no new revenue is, as I understand it, it's a hedge against inflation and basically charging citizens higher effective tax rates due to the increased values of their homes, for example. But my understanding of the budget, well, I've read the budget, and it's all there, and it's available to everybody, but it takes a lot of effort to understand. So we don't have unlimited money, so there's always going to be trade-offs, there's always going to be decisions to make. And a lot of times when we see these big numbers, we start to sort of imagine that things could get easily hidden in there, and we start to think maybe of like conspiracy theories or corruption or things like that. But one of the things I did as board president of Valor Schools is I created a financial dashboard so that we have a roughly $185 million budget, but we have 5 schools, and it's hard to look at all the spreadsheets, right, and see these big numbers and change in net assets and things like that, or days of cash on hand, which is actually a moving target. So what I did is I implemented a financial dashboard. We chose the top 15 most important indicators of the financial health of our organization, and I just assigned them a red, yellow, green status. So everyone on the board could look at it and see where we were at any given time, in any given board meeting, and that helped us zero in to ask the right questions about governance, right? So days of cash on hand is green here, the last month it was red or whatever, So it helps us to it helps us to ask the right questions about our budget. Thank you.
Yes, so we do have it is a big budget, really huge budget actually that we have here in Irving, but if we don't manage it well, it would not be as large a budget. So most of you know me as a photographer. I'm also a facilities manager for a major corporation here that I have to manage big budgets for daily. Things change. We have issues that come up, concerns that come up that have to be addressed. So I would have had to budget in October for something that was unexpected, that happened last night, for example. So I'm used to dealing with big budgets. I moved here with Westinghouse, where I was a marketing manager for the entire country, where I was producing radio and television commercials and budgeted all the marketing materials, outdoor signage, et cetera, magazine print. So I'm accustomed with dealing with large budgets.
Okay, so the new revenue rate is a calculation given to us by the state. Essentially, take all existing development in the city from last year, and what rate would you have to set to get the exact same amount of taxes from that subset of properties. It's kind of a very complex one, but just suffice it to say the city doesn't have a choice about whether to use it. It's a calculation come up with by the state that does not reflect the reality of the ground here in the city. It doesn't reflect all of the financial tools that the city uses, and if we were to adopt it, it would be a negative tax rate. We would lose money. The city's not immune to inflation, so it's a complicated issue where you have to balance making sure that you continue to provide the citizens the services that they expect, the quality of life that they expect, but also keep their taxes affordable, keep them from running away. I'd love to see the state do more for the people for tax relief. They talk a big game, but they don't deliver. We've been stuck at 20% of homestead exemption for a long time, ever since I got on council, and way farther back than that. We keep asking the state, increase that exemption. We want to give our residents more exemption. They won't do it. You'd have to ask them why, but that's what the new revenue rate is, and that's my take on responsible budgeting.
Yeah, John said that correct. The thing I budgeted every year with the business, revenue, expenses, you always got to find out what's the most important. There's a great little pamphlet right in the back corner, right behind my booth over there, that has the full Irving City budget on here. The budget time, when we sit down and do this, there are a lot of state rules already around revenue and 3.5% gains on property tax and value. So it's a complex process, number one, but what's not complex is making sure our priorities are, we spend our money here in the city on our priorities and the list of things we need to get done. Those are the things where we sit in budget sessions here in the city for weeks, and then the citizens' input. And everybody here loves seeing everybody's face. Come to those meetings and look at what we're budgeting and make your voices heard. I think if you talk to city councilmen, it's a very few people get involved with our budget process, but this is our money, and this is the biggest thing that you can help out the city council and make sure you tell us the priorities that you're looking at and make sure we're budgeted in there.
Yep. Irving doesn't have a revenue problem. We have spending challenges, and that is why I talked about the broken window theory earlier. We have to be as efficient as we possibly can with dollars that we have while prioritizing things correctly. And I think we would all agree that we need to make sure our police and our fire, our staff, that we have our roads fixed. These are common sense things. We have to maintain our water quality that we've worked so hard to achieve. We have to maintain our triple bond credit with Moody's, et cetera. So that's really not the issue. At the end of the day, when we're talking about the strain on the services that we have and the damage that our roads incur, this all ties together back to the high density issue that the city has been experiencing for 20 years. We've been on this road where Mr. Potter has had his run of the council effectively with variances to apartments being the reason that they end up right next to our neighborhoods. And you can ask the people that live there and they're not very happy about it. And we even have ordinances in place designed to protect those neighborhoods which have been here forever, just the original Irving, from getting carved up and chopped up and treated like they don't exist. So I would say if we are looking and serious about answering any of these problems, meaning the traffic, the crime, our limited water supply, et cetera, you know what I'm going to say, we don't want a casino here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As we all know, transparency, accountability, and good budgeting is the key to an efficient government. And therefore, I would say that our city government should channel the funding, the finances, according to the priorities. We look at what is more urgent. Is it the senior citizen? Is it the disabled community? Is it the public transportation, the health, and human services? So according to me, I think our budget should always be channeled towards the priorities. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We're going to go to a question about Old Downtown Irving and Heritage District. And I'm going to ask this in several different ways. Y'all listen so you know what applies to you. John Bloch has already mentioned that he has established what he considers his vision for South Irving and has apparently provided some materials for that. And so I'm going to ask him if he would go ahead and tell us about that when it's his turn to speak about this, because what I'm going to ask you all is this. In response to a meeting that was recently led by city planner Abraham Zoria, the discussion was the revitalization of the Heritage District. And so I'd like for you all to tell me what you consider to be the Heritage District and what is your vision for doing that, and where's the money to do it going to come from? And start with you, if you will.
Yeah, the Heritage District, I'm gesturing right over here. It starts with the park, right here off Irving Boulevard. And in general, what's good for the Heritage District is good for all of Irving. So I think of models like Sundance Square or the Bishop Arts District in Dallas. These are both, now again, Sundance Square was a little bit back in the 1990s when I remember it, but that transformed the whole city. If you're not familiar, Sundance Square started, I think, with a movie theater and then coffee shops, and it built up an integrated economic zone in downtown. Same with Bishop Arts. That was more of a residential area, so that could be a better template for us in the Heritage District. But these are incredible examples of urban renewal and development that breathe life back into their cities. So I think we need to study these examples and partner with top urban planners to propose new city-friendly solutions for the Heritage District. My number one concern, though, and again, my number one concern would be to try to develop and give the Heritage District everything they have, or that they need from the city, somehow also putting them in competition with a massive development over on the Texas Stadium side of the highway. So they're about 3.1 miles away, And, if we're talking about scarcity of workers or getting people to visit the Heritage District as opposed to a high-intensity gaming facility, that would be something that, I think if it's hard enough to get businesses in the Heritage District now, it'd be even harder with a casino down the road. Thank you.
So this Heritage District here that we have here, I think it's great that we put the park in, Heritage Park. I think that with the stage, it gives us a great venue for some city events. And right now they've got Holy Week that's taking place there. So it's a great venue for that. So the usage of what we have at Heritage Park is great right now. But for the district, my vision would be to bring entertainment and restaurants, businesses to this community so that we could encourage the community and our neighboring cities to want to come and visit South Irving and the Heritage District.
All right. There are a lot of definitions of what the Heritage District is and what the boundaries are. I'm going to use one of them, but I just want to say there are others. Sowers to Nursery, train tracks to 6th. My vision for what city-led redevelopment of the Heritage District could look like is a family entertainment-oriented, mixed-use retail, restaurant, and recreation facility. Similar to what we have up north with the Toyota Music Factory, it would be city-owned, and businesses would lease space from the city. It would what I'd love to see is really taking advantage of Delaware Creek, get some waterfront entertainment, waterfront, recreational uses, some green space there, kind of a boardwalk, connect it to Campion Trail down through Centennial Park. To answer the question about how are we going to pay for it, there are a lot of ways we could. What I'd love to explore with that one is a public-private partnership. We're going to need somebody to be managing that property if it ever gets built. And what I'd love to see is if we can't find a developer that wants exclusive access to that kind of contract in exchange for helping us fund it.
And the Heritage District's just a little bit bigger than what John said, but the developable portion of it's a little bit smaller than what John said. I've always, when I talk to people, we need places where people come weekly, monthly, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and make sure we have a good spread of these places. The downtown Main Street, the redo, it's going to be one of the most walkable areas. They did a great job of beautification. We need to start attracting anchors on each end of where we want people from walking to and from, and making sure we're developing this in there. Incentives for businesses, there's different things you can do where you help them out in the first few years as they're struggling to get to profitability. And we do this with a lot of businesses already in Irving. The Albertsons we have down on Shady Grove, we're helping them out as a city because it was almost a food desert down there. And making sure we get these businesses up and thriving and support them 100%. It's going to take a while to do this, but we got to get started now. I went to Abraham's meeting, I think that was a week and a half ago. Great starts on these things, but we need to make sure you have a champion to go out and talk to these businesses that we want here. And I will be that champion. I'm looking forward to doing this. I have not only the time, but the will to make sure that we're doing things and doing things well down here.
I've seen John's plan, and I like it. I think the most important part of his plan is that it identifies the chicken egg problem that we have in South Irving, and it's surprising to me, considering how long South Irving has been calling for something to be done here, because they're tired of going epic and they're tired of going north, that no one has actually come up with something to do until John at least came up with one idea. And the chicken egg problem is that we don't have the density to attract the businesses to come, and the people there can't get the businesses they want. So what John has proposed is, since the city owns so much land there, that the city be the one that is the spearhead of making this development, kickstart this development. And to me, it's the obvious sign that what this city needs is fresh, new perspectives that are going to look at these problems, people who are used to dealing with new and challenging situations, and come up with actual solutions. Because I think the people of South Irving have been waiting long enough, and no solutions have been forthcoming.
Hey, Vicky.
Okay, about the Heritage District, I know it's a very, very beautiful part of our city. And it's going to be a very big tourist and entertainment attraction. But I would also suggest, as much as we want to develop it and bring new look to it, we should also maintain its originality, the monuments, I've been down there, I saw like, it was like a jail or something. So those kind of things should stay. The originality, we should not lose it, because that's what makes it beautiful. That's what we call heritage. So the heritage part of it, we should capitalize on it as much as we want to make it a tourist attraction, entertainment district and all that. I would like to see the original part of it thrive even more than whatever improvement, whatever additions we want to bring in to our having a heritage district. Thank you.
The Heritage District is a beautiful place. It has a lot more potential, and I think the residents have spoken repeatedly what the type of retail options they want, the type of businesses they want out there, and so I really do think that council with the city leadership needs to really work together to provide the economic incentives to make that happen. But we also need to encourage our neighbors to attend the events downtown that are happening. We have periodic concerts, we have movies in the park, we have different events that are happening down there. And again, it's just shared responsibility. If we want to see the Heritage District prosper, we also have to support it. And that means us attending these events, right? That way we can support local businesses down there. It starts with us, apart from the economic incentives.
Thank you. We have two more questions, and then we'll go to our closing statements. One of these, it's a very serious question from an attendee at our forum who asked about the representation and commitment to the residents of Irving versus the commitment to some particular organization that you may belong to or may be supporting you. And so the question is, define your commitment to Irving versus your commitment to any particular organization, and tell us how that you would illustrate that commitment. And I believe we're starting with Tony.
I have not been endorsed by any particular organization in this election. I am the president and have been for 20-plus years of the Irving NAACP. But as you can see throughout my resume, and for me being, and I was honored when I received Irving High Spirited Citizens Award in 2019, my commitment is more to the city than any organization, including the NAACP. So I've been able to build relationships and build bridges for over 20 years in the Urban Committee by volunteering and meeting and negotiating with our city management and our police officers, police chiefs. I've been a part of their hiring process for 3 times, so the city trusts me to do that. So I've been more committed to the city than any organization, and Irving NAACP is the organization that I'm the president of. Thank you.
I'm shocked you think that I would be beholden to the Fire Association. What's good for fire is good for Irving. No, so obviously this is a pointed question about the Families for Irving PAC. I am proud to be supported by the Families for Irving PAC. A PAC is just a group of people with common purpose who decided they want to pool their resources and their efforts and their energy into a common and coordinated effort to accomplish goals. That's what the Fire Association does. That's what Families for Irving does. I am not ashamed of my support from them because they want Irving to be family first, and so do I. I take my oath of office incredibly seriously. The one time I think I've gotten into an actual Facebook fight was with Matt Varble. Hello. It's water under the bridge. But I took offense at the implication that I would be violating my oath of office. It is water under the bridge. I take it very seriously. I represent the people of Irving. The Families for Irving PAC is made up of people of Irving. Everybody here has friends who live outside of Irving, and they have money too. Just because a group of people get together and call their friends to ask them to help them who may have ties to Irving, maybe they work, live, or worship here, does not make it any less of an organization run by Irving residents. I am committed to the people of Irving. I take my oath incredibly seriously. Thank you.
Good. Well, I was born here in 1970. I'll probably stay here the rest of my life. I will be committed to the citizens of Irving 100% of the time. Call me, email me, sit down, talk with me. I will be transparent on every decision I ever make as a city councilman. I'll research all the issues, and I'll talk to you. Get different opinions from everybody in this room and everybody who'd like to talk to me in this city. That's my commitment to you. I don't need to be bought from anybody. And by the way, I'm not accusing anybody of being bought from anybody. I think, and I would actually like to thank everybody on this panel for running for city council. This is a job that we should all take very seriously, and I think everybody does take it seriously up here. And I appreciate everybody running for city council because it sometimes is a very thankless job. But this is something that I'll always be committed to Irving. I am Irving. I'm one of y'all, and I'll always be an Irvingite.
I think John was way off the mark here. I think the question really is about the Sands PAC and what kind of role they're playing in Irving to try and bring this casino here. And the way that you know that that's an issue is when KERA submitted a FOIA to ask for the communications between Sands Corporation and the city. The Chamber of Commerce General Counsel objected, mentioning the ongoing conversations that they are in the middle of to try and bring this casino here. So when we're talking about PACs and money and who is serving whom, I think it's not a great time when one of your biggest qualifications is your membership and longtime involvement with the Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce, in contradiction to the interests of the people of Irving.
Okay. I'm endorsed by the citizen of Irving. Because of them, I am. Because of them, I'm sitting here today. They put me on the ballot box because they were trusting me with this job. And I'm going to be 100% committed to them. I'm going to be 100% committed to them. I'm going to be their voice. I'm going to represent them. I'm going to advocate for them. Because like I said, I'm just an everyday person. I'm just an everyday person. I'm this Irving citizen who you will find everywhere. I go to the dollar store. I go to the thrift store. My kids go to the Irving ISD. I go to Walmart, and if you'd ask me my favorite restaurant, I will just say Wingstop. And I even know the number which I pick is number 10 because it comes with 4 different flavors. So, so I'm very much committed to working to the people of Irving, and I'm gonna go down to everybody's level. I'm not gonna be that leader who doesn't wanna go down and reach everybody. I'm gonna be serving everybody from top to bottom. So I wanna be the voice, I wanna be the leader, the citizen of Irving I've been waiting for. So I'm committed to them. Thank you.
I have received several endorsements. My number one endorsement is for my 7-year-old son, Mateo. And so, like several of my colleagues here, I want to represent all of the citizens of Irving and District 7 and at the city level. Regardless if you live in an apartment or if you live in a single-family home, I want to serve you, and I'm ready to serve you on day one. Thank you.
So yeah, just wanted to make one more comment about the nature of PACs in themselves. So PACs can have both positive and negative benefits. So on the one hand, they can be a great tool for advocacy to bring up important issues by uniting the voices of many citizens, right? But we also have to acknowledge that they can be, they can be manipulative with their money or try to push through political agendas with big budgets and things like that. So my recommendation on PACs is to follow the money. You know, if you're suspicious about a PAC, trace the donations back to who would benefit financially from having an extra vote on the city council in this case, right? I'm happy to say that I'm a Families for Irving. I'm endorsed by Families for Irving PAC. And then today I found out that I was also endorsed by the Metroplex Civic Business Association, which is really nice. But yeah, ultimately see who, I would say to do your due diligence. If you're suspicious of a PAC, you need to just see where the money leads you. And then you can make your own conclusions for sure. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, your last question before your closing statement has to do with yourself. And tell us a little bit about the skills and past experiences and leadership that you have been a part of in Irving that qualifies you to be on the city council. And I believe we start with John.
All right. Well, past experience with leadership and skills that qualify me for city council. Well, I've been doing it for 3 years. After 1 year, I was appointed to be the chair of the Community Services Committee. I've been honored to have that chair, and I've been very diligently at work for the people of Irving. A large part of what I've been doing on that board is steering the conversations and the work on the pools to make sure that as those pools are coming online or as they're being built, that they're going to be what the people of Irving expect. The other thing that I've worked on very diligently on that board is a modification to our library policy. Now, I know this is a contentious issue. A lot of people call me a book burner, book banner, etc. It's simply not true. Not a single book has been removed from circulation as a result of the policy that I was a part of, crafting with the city staff. It was a city-led initiative coming up with the policy because they're the ones that have to enact it. That kind of leadership and problem solving that takes everybody's interests and everybody's rights into account is what I've demonstrated in my time on council, and it's why a year later I was unanimously elected by my colleagues to be the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, meaning I represent the city in place of the mayor when he's unable to make an event. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years in leadership positions within the City Council, and that's what you can continue to expect from me.
Just real quick, I've not been on the executive committee of the or the Chamber of Commerce for 4 years, number one. Number two, on your pamphlet, please look at it. There's $42 billion worth of taxable value we have in the city, 8 Fortune 500 headquarters. You want a thriving chamber to make sure we keep the business community up. As far as my service, I'm not going to say her age, but she's turning 90 this year. My mom's here. She started the Irving Schools Foundation back in the 80s really to help out teachers for their supplies. Next Tuesday, the 22nd, will be the Irving Schools Foundation's Breakfast with the Stars, where they're going to award over $500,000 worth of scholarships to Irving citizens. My sister and I have both served on that board there. I took it a little bit step further to raise money for them. I started a golf tournament, the Brandel Chambly. Don't know if y'all are golfers, but on the Golf Channel, he's one of the announcers. He went to MacArthur High School. So he is our namesake. We got Brandel Chambly to come, raise money for the Irving Schools Foundation, Irving Healthcare Foundation, the La Buena Vida Foundation, and the YMCA. All those organizations are near and dear to my heart. I've also served on the 2019 Bond Committee with several people in the room here. Our parks money is coming from this. I served on the public safety side to see what the police and fire really need for the future going forward. Also volunteered here and with the Boy Scouts. My son's an Eagle Scout, and that's one of the best times I've had is being able to go on trips with him, big adventures, and see him grow to be a really good leader. I hosted the Irving Boy Scout Luncheon for 3 years, had Congressman Jake Elsey come, had the mayor speak. We've had some good attendance and also raising money for the Boy Scouts. But a lot of my leadership came from running the business for over 25 years. It's a lot of people in the company, a lot of different walks of life, a lot of different skill sets, sales, finance, tooling, molding, engineering. And you learn to bring people together to a common goal. You learn to budget. You learn to make tough decisions. But at the end of the day, you learn to be a great leader and a great person because a lot of people are counting on you. And that's what I'll bring to Irving. You can always count on me. You can always talk to me, and my leadership will always be there for you.
Well, as far as my previous board experience, I'm in the incredible company of President Calvin Coolidge, President Grover Cleveland, and Joe Biden when they ran for low-level offices, as far as how much board experience they had. Someone has brought up my lack of voting record, and that puts me in the same camp as George W. Bush and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez when they ran for higher office. And as far as budget management experience, which I know is so essential, that puts me in the company of Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan. But now that we've dodged that question, I think the qualification that the people of Irving are looking for is someone that's going to fight for them when it comes to negotiating with our very effective and very successful Chamber of Commerce. They are so effective and so successful that they need to be reined in at times when some questions come up that perhaps are better in the short term than in the long term. It's because they're actually so good. And if you look back at the Toyota Music Factory and other examples like that, the apartment development sprawl, these are your examples where our council people simply trusted, even though there was a WFAA report on the corruption and the waste of the entertainment center that became the Toyota Music Factory. They just said, oh, no, it looks great, we'll figure it out. And that's how you have the disastrous election results for former Mayor Herbert Geers. And by the way, that same mayor is the one that's calling what's happening with the people of Irving an unholy alliance, because there are people who are very frustrated that this is happening. And these are the people who are used to having their way and making all the choices because they think that they know better than we do about what is good for this city. And so if we want to have the best outcomes, we need the experts in City Hall, in the chamber, very successful people, to be working hand in hand with the citizens who have the common sense, and they have the stakes that they're going to be here for 30, 40, 50 years. So we don't need more of the people that are already there. We need the people that are going to represent all of us. The people who are here day to day. They're going to the fields, they're going to the pools, they're going to the libraries, they're going to the schools, they're driving the roads, they're having the regular day-to-day experience. And that is why the people of Irving are very excited about this election.
I believe leadership starts from home. And I would say that I've been a very good leader to my family. I've been a very good leader in the community where I live in, the schools where my kids go to, the people I've worked with. And that's why I've been rising from one step to the other. I've worked before I got engaged fully in my campaign. I was a assistant bakery manager at the Sprouts Farmers Market at Las Colinas. That is a leadership position. That's a leadership position. And I acquired a lot of knowledge through that because I would deal with customers, different people. I learned a lot of things. Where I come from, we don't even cook. We don't even go to the kitchen. We have people doing those things for us. But working at Sprouts Farmers Market taught me responsibility, taught me leadership, and taught me a lot of things. Apart from that, I've been involved in so many organizations in my community. I've been a member of the District Development Committee, Irving Independent School District. I've been a planning committee member, Illuminate Irving. Illuminate Irving is a domestic violence awareness campaign. It's an annual event whereby the entire city is involved, the Irving Police, Irving Family Advocacy Centers, our partners, the domestic violence shelters, and a lot of people come together during that event. I am part of the people who organize for that event, which has really been successful. I think now we are going 10 years. I'm also a brand ambassador of Mosaic Family Services, which is a shelter for domestic violence, victims of domestic violence and abuse. And I talk on their behalf mostly whenever we need to do charity to help the victims and make life easy for everybody to get back to their feet. And I'm also a member of West Irving Public Library. Thank you.
For the last 6 years, I was leading one of the largest and most active neighborhood associations in South Irving, the Historic Hospital District Neighborhood Association. It is something that did that role with lots of pride and joy, working with property owners every single day on some of the biggest pain points we all face. Code enforcement, litter, roads and streets, you name it, we have probably dealt with it at some point in the last 6 years. And so it was through that leadership that I took initiative to then go and receive additional training through the Irving 360 Academy, which I graduated in 2019. And I know there's several alumni in here as well. It's a program that I highly recommend to all residents, so you can get to learn the inner workings of the city departments. And as a neighborhood leader, I took that class, that program, so I could better my community even more, especially where we lived. From there, I then participated in the 2022 Charter Review Committee, where also Mr. Bloch had mentioned, where we did advocate for stricter term limits as well, which the voters did vote in 2023. Then I was sworn into as a planning and zoning commissioner and served 2 years, where I then resigned this past January to get on the ballot for city council. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't just volunteer. When I say service, service before self, I mean it. I live it. And I have been doing that since I moved to Irving. No one has asked me to do it. I have been doing it because I want to. And if I'm elected as your city council representative, I will do that every single day for all the residents here in Irving.
So yeah, leadership and service in Irving, just in Irving. I was a teacher for 11 years in Irving. I was head of a middle school here in Irving. I was a youth baseball coach at the Irving YMCA, just right over here off Story Road. I wish we could figure out a way to get them back. And now I work in Irving. I'm the associate vice president of a bank. It's not really a service, that's my day job, but that's also here in Irving. And then most recently, I had served as I served on the Irving Public Library Board, and I was elected unanimously as the board chair. So that was a really great and wonderful thing to work with the library staff. We do have a top-tier library, especially here in North Texas. And if you don't believe me, you can check our Net Promoter Scores. They do an excellent job. But then, of course, with access to the hundreds of thousands of print and digital titles, identifying the mature content in the children's collection is an overwhelming project for Lynette and our limited staff resources, especially when a lot of the titles aren't controversial. So that was one of the main projects that I was working on until I resigned to run for city council. And then parents, just a public service announcement, if you want to report a title that you would like reviewed and reshelved in the library, the link is right on my campaign website, adamforirving.org. Thank you. adamforirving.com, it's all right.
In Irving, I've talked about this, but I'll state it again. I've been working in the community for over 20 years as a community leader. I've served one term on the school board. Then for 15 years or so, I've been on the Irving Police Advisory Board. And when I talk about that, to friends of mine who know that I'm running a council now, they keep reminding me, well, you've been a leader all your life. And they go back into days when you all would know, some of these folk won't remember student crossing guards. So I was a student crossing guard, one of the first ones in the 4th grade, but I've always been a captain of the baseball team, basketball team. In the corporate world, I've always worked in management. We just heard a couple of comments regarding the libraries, and so our libraries are under attack again, and I don't agree with that. And that's kind of what the Families for Irving PAC brings with that team, is the libraries and no casinos. And if you only have 1 or 2 issues, I don't think we can utilize your services. So vote for Tony Grimes. One other thing too, let me mention in this statement, DEI has also been attacked in the city of Irving by one of our city councilmen. So look at last week's city council meeting. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time, but we're going to have our closing statements anyway. I actually have one question that I forgot, and you don't have to say anything, you just raise your hand. How many of you are members of the Irving Heritage Society? If you are, raise your hand. Oh my goodness. The rest of you, Judy Pearson, president of the Irving Heritage Society, will be in the back taking your check as you leave. So don't forget. So we want to thank you all for being here and thank everyone for staying. Sorry we're running just a little over, but we had so many, we tried to get to everything or a combination of everything everybody gave us so that you could learn what you need to know and want to know about your candidates. We're going to start with Adam Muller and have our closing statements in 1 minute, and try real hard to stay within your minutes now, y'all.
I promise. Thank you again for this opportunity. So I'm just going to close with asking, what is the role of City Council? So City Council is not an award for being the best volunteer. It's not an award for or the hiring of the best city manager. City Council represents the voice of the citizens, your voice. We stand in your place. We're the ones who ask, how is this proposal going to affect the citizens of Irving? So if you live in District 7, you have a clear decision to make. and I want you to go to our websites and look at our core issues. My opponent thinks that Austin and the whole state of Texas should be in charge of the decision to build the world's largest casino right here in Irving. She's endorsed by the Association of Apartment Developers of Greater Dallas, and she supports giving $108 million a year to Dallas in exchange for our DART system. This is all on her website. But I believe the citizens should have a voice about building the world's largest casino in their backyard. And a few weeks ago, the city tried to bypass this step. We saw what happened. I also believe that we need to help families afford houses and build wealth. And I believe that the pathway to this is renegotiating the DART contract to save millions of dollars and finding a transportation solution that works for our citizens. So I encourage you all to vote. This is the reason we're all here. Thank you for your time tonight, and all my contact information is on my website, adamforirving.com. Thank you.
Neighbors in District 7, it's a true honor to be running in this position, and I just encourage you to visit PriscillaForIrving.com. Please don't listen to the lies that Dr. Muller just told you. Please go and read my website for yourself. If you have questions, call me. My phone number is 214-702-2441 if you need any clarification, or you can also email me at PriscillaForIrving@gmail.com. I want to represent all the citizens in District 7, and I want to make sure that what's important to you is also important for me. And so I want to remind everyone that early voting starts April 22nd through the 29th, and Election Day is May 3rd. You have a choice, and I encourage you to use your vote for your voice. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to thank everybody for listening to me, and thank you very much for having me tonight. And I'm humbly asking for your votes this evening, because I do believe that I'm a true reflection of what the city of Irving stands for, and that's diversity, inclusion, as I always say, courage and hard work. And if elected, I will continue to listen and address your concerns regarding policies, projects, and development. And I would urge you today, so that all of us, we could come together and work to enhance the quality of living of all our Irving residents. Early voting is going to be the 22nd through the 29th of April, and voting day is going to be May 3rd. And I will say, this opportunity, I don't take it for granted. And I'm going to close by saying, God bless America, and God bless Irving, Texas. Thank you.
Amen. Well, I've been saying the same thing now for 3 months. So you know why I'm doing this, you know why I'm here, you know that I'm coming out of the woodwork, and you know that why I'm doing that, because we are at a pivotal moment. And the question that you have to answer is, who do you want to represent you? And who is best going to represent your interests? I'd like to tell you that I am looking 30, 40 years down the road for the simple reason that I want my grandkids to not have any reasons to leave this city the same way that I did when I left Maryland seeking opportunity. It's very selfish, but it's the kind of goal that benefits us all because it's a very universal and common thing to want. And those are the things that bring the diversity that the city enjoys together. And those are the things that are vital to any community anywhere. So, the 3 pillars, just to reiterate, are no casino, more home ownership, and let's fix the broken windows that will help us ensure that we're being fiscally responsible and as efficient as we can with the services that the city already prioritizes. So I encourage you to vote for Sergio Porras, District 2. Early voting starts April 22nd. Election day is May 3rd. And I just want to thank you all for coming out.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. Our civic duty, our voting rate in the city is at 6% for May elections. And I appreciate y'all being here and getting out and voting. Thank you to the South Irving Task Force, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the League of Women Voters. The people who know me here, you know me as positive, as thoughtful, and as well-researched. And those are the skills I'll bring to the city council seat every day. At my company, we had what we called GWC when I hired someone. Gets it, wants it, and has the capacity to do it. So when they come into my office for interviewing, I'd want to make sure they got what the job is. Then the second thing is, do you want the job? Do you want to be here? Is this something you're looking at for a career? And finally, do you have the capacity to do it? Is this your only job? Is there other things? Do you have outside things? Well, for this job, and this is what y'all need to do with us, GWC, do we get the job? Do we want the job? And do we have the capacity to do it? And tonight I'll tell you, tomorrow I'll tell you, yesterday I'll tell you. I get it, I want it, and I have the capacity to do it. And I'm doing it because I love this city. I'm going to stay in this city and want to make sure this city is as best as it can be. Once again, election days, April 22nd through the 29th, right here at City Hall, Irving Arts Center, and Valley Ranch Library. May 3rd is official election day. There's about 27 locations. I'll put it on our website, pfaffforirving.org. If there's a lot of F's in there, but please come over to my booth and come see me. Please call me anytime. Happy to sit down with coffee with anybody and talk about issues because that's what is enjoyable. So thank you for being here once again. I'm David Pfaff, running for Place 2 City Council.
All right. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you to the city for providing the facility. A vote for me is a vote for experience, for integrity, and for results. When I took office, they were about to tear Leap Pool out of the ground, and it had been defunct for 3 years. It's opening on Memorial Day. I was the only voice saying keep it. When I took office, every low-quality hotel and apartment complex got rubber stamped on its way through City Hall. Now, they have to show us that they're going to bring the quality and standards that Irving deserves before they get their zoning changed. When I took office, we had 40 police vacancies. I was a part of the push to raise the pay and make some changes to how our court system worked. Now we have 10 vacancies. That's a 75% reduction in vacancies. The results are not going to stop there. I have a vision for downtown Irving. I want to bring accountability and transparency to a heightened level at the city. So vote for me to make sure Irving stays the best place to run a business, to live, and to raise a family. Thank you.
Thanks to our hostesses, and our host groups, and all of you for being here. I would like to represent you at City Council on District 1, because I will be honest. Let me repeat that. I will be honest and transparent. Some things that my opponent just mentioned, I would fact check. Actually, I would fact check everything that he said. His vision, imagine that being his vision that's out in the hallway. This is the second time we've been at one of these events where he talked about his sponsors, his endorsement. And once again, he didn't mention the PAC until that question came up. He mentioned the Fire Association. I ran in 2022, and I was endorsed by both the fire and police associations. So, like I said, I would fact check my opponent if you want honesty and transparency and accessibility to your city council representative. Representative, you'll vote for me, Tony Grimes, TonyForIrving.com. Thank you.
Thanks to all our candidates, and now I know you've had a smattering of applause here and there for things that people have said. Let's give them all a hand and thank them. And thanks to you all, as I said, for being here until the very end. Remembering that we also want to appreciate ICTN for recording this, and to the City of Irving for allowing us to be here, especially for Fernando Nunez, our communications specialist back here, who kept us on the air, and for our security, who's been back here all the time, not out of sight, nobody paying any attention to the fact that we're being well protected. So the forum will be available on ICTN, and you can get that through the city link and through the league link. And I am going to right now say good night to you and thank you for letting me be here and do this, and turn this back over to the President of the League of Women Voters, Alice Owen, who has a final word for you.
For coming tonight. We really appreciate all your candid responses, and I don't think we've had as much laughter tonight as we've ever had in our forum, so thank you for that. Also, I want to thank Sharon for being our gracious hostess, and give her a hand, please. And thanks to all our league board members and volunteers here tonight. If y'all want to wave and say thank you for helping out as well. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, we put out a voter's guide, Vote 411. It has all of the candidates' responses to our questions in it, some different questions, I think, than what they answered tonight. So you can get that in print if you want to share that with your families who didn't get to be here tonight. And if you really appreciate these forums that we put on every year, please consider donating to our organization or volunteering your time. We really need extra hands, and we could use your help in our organization. So for more information, you can visit the vote411.org to get the candidates' answers. You can go to our website, lwvirving.org, or you can also go to dallascountyvotes.org to find out voting information. And thank you all for being such a great audience, and we hope to see you at some of our future events. Thank you.